What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another open beta patch notes review. And today we have open beta 17, the World Serpent Jormungandr. And of course they always do this the day before, which is fine. At least it's consistent. It only gives me a day to go over the patch notes. I know they go over it on the Titan Talk on Twitch, but I kind of want to see the notes. So either way, here we are. Jormungandr's coming along with some small changes. Nothing too crazy. They already went over this before, but and I've seen a decent amount of it. I don't remember all of it, but most of it I have seen. So here we are, another open beta. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into this. As per usual, the URL to the patch notes will be in the description down below if you want to take a look at it yourself. But here we are, new ported god Jormungandr. Jormungandr, general ranged basic attacks. So he's got like he's got one of the more unique set of basic attacks if you guys don't already know. So I'm assuming most of you probably know, but from people who play Smite 2 or coming in the Smite 2, this is obviously a pretty unique. He's got a very unique kit and playstyle. Basically, he has a breath, shoots out damage really fast and then slowly as he uses his auto attack bar in his left corner for his passive. Slowly starts to slow down, if you've already seen it, his gameplay. Anyways, range basic attacks a little bit in front of him, and his basic attacks proc item effects for 40% damage, 20% healing. So whatever the normal damage is, you cut it by that 40% damage or 20% healing. So items like Braggy's Harp or Tearfing will only do 40% per auto, and same thing with like healing. So if you wanted to do like Arrow's Bow, I'm assuming, and why can't I think of it? The starter, Death's Toll. And actually, they're bringing this over from Smite 1. This wasn't a thing initially. Actually, they changed this later as the game progressed. And they started adding the, because it used to not affect anything at all. So in Smite 1, when they had this, certain items, there was this item called, God, I'm starting to forget these items. It was one of the rings. Either way, it was sort of like a Braggy's Harp, I believe. And it would do extra damage to, based on your autos, and they wouldn't allow him to use it anymore. Or they wouldn't allow item effects like that to work, and so they did it towards the end of Smite 1, and they're bringing it over. They're bringing it over, which is nice because I like this feature a lot more than not having it. So it's pretty good. It's gonna be magical type damage, scaling intelligence and strength. So there's gonna be both types of. You can basically go every single item, which is nice. And it'll have some type of scaling, which is pretty cool. So here he is. Passive, immovable. You're immune to hard displacement, bar instead dazed. A debuff that slows you and increases the damage you take. So certain hard display. Well, it's not really. I was gonna say stuns and stuff like that still affect him. But it's not hard displacement. That's just a stun hard CC. So stuns, roots. Those are still going to affect him, but things like knockups or that's pretty much it. Actually, knockups not really going to affect him, but instead are going to be debuffed, where you take increased damage and it slows you. And this is always a thing in Smite 1 as well, because he is connected to the ground. Ability 1, Venomous Haze fires a noxious spit at an area, dealing magical damage and creating a toxic cloud that persists. While within the cloud, you gain extra cooling for your basic attacks, which is actually pretty cool. So while you're in this, your passive auto bar actually it slows, so it allows you to auto faster for longer, if that makes sense. So if you're in the pool, you can auto for longer without having the your bar go down to where you don't auto as fast anymore. Like I said, like it's a what's the word? I'm struggling today with words. Or diminishing returns is what I'm trying to say. So it creates that diminishing return passive that he has It slows that down, which is good. And I believe it stacks. Like if you were to throw one on top of another, I think it stacks. I don't think that was intentional, at least in the Titan talk where they showed him, but it did stack. So theoretically, if you put down like 5, you could have like infinite autos essentially. Oh my god, there's something in my fucking headset. Anyways, ability 2, consuming bellow. We have channel briefly, drawing power from your nearby toxic clouds, then roar to deal magical damage, slow and tremble enemies around you. Each cloud empowers you in the roar increases. Each cloud empowers you in the roar, increasing size and causing it to deal bonus magical damage per cloud. So when you're in your 1, it allows you to increase the size and allows you to do bonus magical damage per cloud, referring to the 1. While empowered, your basic attacks fire at their maximum rate. Let me see, is there anything different? Nothing. This is pretty much the same, I believe. I just think that the added effect to this was that I think does it stop at 3? Last time it stopped at 3, but I think this still increases size the more you have down, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but because it doesn't say it here, but there was something different about the 2. I think that's what it was. Ability 3 is submerge. Submerge into the ground, becoming stealth and gaining movement speed, reactivating to emerge, knocking up and doing magical damage to enemies. So basically the same thing as in Smite 1. While submerged, you pulse out a ring, gaining vision of enemies, which is similarly the same thing as Smite 1, and then emerging through a toxic cloud, creating 2 new clouds, which is the exact same thing as Smite 1. I think they added a different thing here though, now that when you're submerged, instead of, if you're noticed by an enemy god in Smite 1, the movement speed would actually slow down, and you wouldn't have that anymore if you were noticed. But if you are in Smite 2, I believe that you're still gaining the movement speed, but then I think you go, when you're done being damaged, similar to Loki, where if you damage them, he goes stealth again, but for like a split second you can see where he is, and I think that's going to be similar to Jormungandr. That's the change. And finally, ultimate ability, the World Serpent. Enter into the world before diving up to 3. Enter into the world before diving up to 3 times across the battlefield. Each time you submerge, you deal magical damage to enemies hit, emerging out of the ground and your body crashing down. Deals magical damage to the enemies hit. So the part where you go up and then you go down, the snake part of his body, let's pretend that this is Yorm, it crashes down. So anything that's within that range between his jump between the both portals will do damage, and I believe it did that in Smite 1, but it's more noticeable now. Each time you emerge and submerge, you knock up enemies and leave behind a low duration toxic cloud. You are CC immune during this ability, and basically it's the same exact thing, except this time they changed the targeter distance. So now that you can go even like if you were to put a portal you can put a portal right in front of you, and you were able to, so in Smite 1, you were able to put a portal right in front of you, but it wasn't allowing you to intersect the 2 portals. So you would only be able to go in front of you and not touch the circle where you're at, if that makes sense. Where now you're able to intertwine, I guess, for lack of a better word, your initial spot. So you can go really, really narrow path in front of you easier, allowing you to intersect basically where your initial point was. So that's pretty cool as well, if that makes sense. If not, you might want to watch the Titan talks. Aspect releasing August 29th, so that's in 4 days. That is on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's Friday. This Friday, Aspect of the Unyielding. Toxic clouds do not deal tick damage, but ally gods within them gain damage reduction. They went over what the percentage is. I don't remember what it was, but it does scale off of your health, I believe. Within them, you do not gain cooling, but lower cooldown for venomous haze. So instead of it lowering your cooling for your autos, this time it reduces your venomous haze, which is your 1, by 1 second every time you're in there. Consecutively, and it stacks. So if you put down 5 of them, it takes 5 seconds off your 1, and it quickly can become an infinite ability. Consuming bellow does not deal bonus damage. That's your 2, but allies gain intelligence and strength. So you give them a little bit of an effect. And then submerged knock-up height is increased. So when you're 3, you knock them up even higher, similar to like a Bacchus flop. And there he is, pretty much the same, just some small tweaks. At the end of the day, it's quality of life things that I think really changed about him, which I do like. And I know he's a pretty popular god, so it's gonna be really fun, and the aspects gonna be pretty cool to play with as well. Auto attack build with Yorm is pretty fun too. And yeah, it's actually one of the more fun additions to Smite recently, in my opinion. And let's see, 25th. So we'll be going live tomorrow or today, depending on when you're watching it. Tuesday. New Wandering Market Travelers. They went over this too. The Agni skin, which is pretty cool. It's got some prisms. Premium Traveler page. Remember, a lot of these skins you'll be able to buy with your legacy gems from Smite 1 after a little while. We got the Infinite Overseer Cerberus with more Chrism skins as well. It's pretty cool. And then let's see, some quality of life and new player improvements. Item descriptions have been updated to improve clarity. So yes, this is one of the bigger things they're doing. Instead of and I always was annoyed by this because of it's definitely not newer player friendly, and even to people who play this game long enough, it's kind of annoying, at least in my opinion, having to read an entire paragraph where there's so many different things. I'm just like, okay, wait, it does this, that, and then this, and then this, and then this, and this, and this, and I'm just like, oh my god, there's so much here. And then I have to read it like over and over again to make sure I fully understand it. So now they're doing like a bulleted list. I really wish they would have had like a picture here. But they had like a bulleted list of all the descriptions. So like if it gave you if the pass, so basically an item gives you like, if an item gives you like 25% attack speed and like 40 strength, they're also, and also a passive, for example, they're gonna name out what specifically in the passive it gives you. So for example, if you have Oni Hunter's Garb, it gives you like 40 magical protections, max health, and I don't remember, I think maybe MP5 or something like that. I don't exactly remember. And in the passive, it gives you upwards of 12% damage mitigation, but it's like a little bit of a paragraph or like a sentence. Instead of them having that sentence at the bottom, they're just going to say plus upwards of like 12% damage mitigation, and it's just going to be more short and sweet, and it's going to have more colors to it to make it more readable. Let me see if I can actually pull one up. All right, so here's a good example of what it is currently. You see how, like, for example, Death's Toll gives you 15 strength, max health, and that's really good readable, but its passive is like, hitting an enemy with a basic attack heals you for 2 plus 0.03% of your max health, and 1 plus 1% of your max mana. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. I mean, that's not the worst one, but like, it's like it's a little bit hard to understand, especially if you're a newer player. But for example, now they're changing it to, I thought I just had it up. This would have been better if it... Is he gonna... There it is. So, see how it says 15 strength, 100 max health, and now it gives you attack hit instead of saying, you know, hitting an enemy with a basic attack heals you. Instead of just... Now it just says attack hit. Short and sweet. +2, and then it gives you like a little parentheses plus 0.03% max health, and they color grade it to green to showcase that's what it is. You get a heal plus, and you got the max mana, and then so like that's sort of the idea. And honestly, I love that, because like it makes things so much more readable. Now it's still like, you know, if you're a new player, it's like there's a lot of information, but this just makes it a tiny bit easier, and especially for me, it helps me realize, okay, what am I looking at? I know that it gives me max health, attack speed. Okay. All right, let's see. Adaptive stat, 15 strength or 20 intelligence, based on highest item stat. Cool. What else does it give me? 50% damage to jungle monsters. Cool. Plus 50 true damage to jungle monsters. Okay, so not only does it give me 50% damage to jungle monsters, attacks also deal 50 true damage. 50% bonus physical damage to jungle monsters. So I'm getting 50 true damage, 50% damage, more damage, and 15% physical damage as well. So within 1.92 be minus 20 you know, so you get the point. It's easier to read rather than going here and seeing Boomba's like, where is it? Is this it? Is that the same item? Yeah, Boomba's golden dagger. Like, what the fuck is this? Do you see that? Like, I don't even know what the hell I'm looking at. But, you know, it makes this so much easier, and that's what I like about that. They're doing that with all the items, and they're actually thinking about doing it with gods as well soon too. So as long as it's, you know, picked up in a positive way, which I can't imagine it would not be. So if I said that correctly. Anyways, item descriptions now contain color coding for such as attack speed, intelligence. Yeah. Quick play. Pick from 3 now has simplified descriptions, making selection easier to understand. Okay. Game modes, Conquest. So they're going to be doing an overhaul to Conquest sooner than later. But I think there's some new things here. So the pots near Gold Fury can now be broken with basic attacks. So specifically like melee basic attacks. I think it was specifically with Yorm in this update that kind of behooved them to do this. Jungle monsters now use their abilities earlier in their attack chain. So, you know, each camp has like a specific thing. Like I believe blue does like a electrical shock thing. Red buff pins you with like it's like a stinger, so on and so forth. And now a lot of times you'd kill it before it even had a chance to do this, so now they're gonna do that quicker. Wind sprites grant Jormungandr a movement speed buff for 2 seconds. Remember, you can't jump or knocked up, so that would look crazy though. Oracle camp and middle lane contestable buff camp now spawn 1 minute and 30, which actually has some implications towards jungle starts. Now that it's, you know, in the mid buff being spawning at 1 minute, you wanted to try and contest it so that the other guy doesn't get it and that you get it. Now that 30 seconds later, it's going to make you have 30 extra seconds to fuck around on the map. So you may have to some changing to the jungle starts and stuff like that. Satyr camp blue buff and Chimera camp purple buff initial time pushed up from 25 seconds to 20 seconds, so it's gonna be sooner. Satyr camp blue buff decreased max health from 975 to 350. Oh my god. Protections reduced, XP rewards reduced, and base gold reduced as well. And then the mini version as well, health, protections, XP, and gold reward. And this sort of was changed because solo laners were struggling with doing the blue buff and also getting to lane and not losing a minion. The only way they would be able to do that is if they skipped doing the blue buff, or if they had a jungler help them do the blue buff, and it was sort of annoying. So they changed this to where now it should be soloable by solos, and you're still able to get the first couple minions, because you would lose a couple minions if you did your blue buff without your jungler, and it was kind of annoying. And so solo laners complained, and here we are. And honestly, it's a valid complaint in my opinion. Versed AI, Joust and Arena Versed AI once again uses rules and settings are equal to their PvP counterparts and uses the regular item store. Okay, I guess that's a thing now for people who play against AI. I don't know that many people who do that, but to the people who do, there you go. God balance. Here we go. Short and sweet. We're already halfway through. All right, gods. Agni nerf. Rain fire. His ult. So decrease scaling from 65% to 60%. So you can have a maximum of 3 of these. So overall, if you like to spam it out, you're doing, you have 15% less scaling in total, which means you're going to be doing less damage. Aspect of combustion. Combustion is passive. Decreased ignite scaling 3% down to 2%, and increased consume scaling from 80% to 70%. I thought Agni was in a good spot. I'm not going to lie. He's very good, but not like broken. He's very counterable. A lot of picks can counter him. Thought he was fine. I don't think it's going to change too much, but it's not a weak buff or a weak nerf. This is actually like a solid nerf. I still think he's going to be good, but you know, there you go. The people who don't like Agni, there you go. He's nerfed a little bit. Athena buff definitely needs a buff. Confound, I think she's a little underrated though. But regardless, Confounder 2, decreased taunt duration protection scaling threshold from 150 to 115, so 35 less protect. Wait, no, yes, 35 protections to reach that threshold. 35 less protections, which makes it easier to get that scaling a lot sooner as well too. Shock nerf. I'm okay with shock nerf. He does a lot of fucking damage, dude. Thunder strike. Increased cooldown from 10 to 8 seconds to 10 overall. His cooldowns are very short too, so I'm fine with that. Torrent. Decreased base damage from 100 to 340 to 800 to 300. I'm okay with that as well. He does a lot of damage and his cooldowns are really quick, so that's good. I like this. Cupid Fix. Share the love. Fix an issue where this ability was not providing the mana heal effect when picking up a heart, and was also not providing Cupid health when allies picked up a heart. I always thought maybe I haven't played Cupid enough. I thought I was, whenever my teammates would pick it up, I would get health, but maybe not. I wasn't paying attention close enough, I guess. But yeah, they changed that. That's supposed to be a thing, so I'm glad they fixed that. Hades buff. Shroud of Darkness, decreased silence duration protection scaling threshold. Wow, that's a mouthful. Decreased silence duration protection scaling threshold. Oh my goodness. 125 to 100, so you're gonna get the protection scaling quicker. 25 protections quicker. Hoi nerf. Thank you. Hoi is really fucking good, man. Sun touched. Increased health threshold for sun touch to trigger 20% to 25%. So again, you know, if he took 20% damage, which wasn't hard at all, actually, they'd trigger his passive. Now it's 25%. So maybe just a little bit more or a little bit less times is that going to happen. Updated tooltip to state that sun touch cannot trigger again while sun touched is active. Ricochet, decreased base damage 95 to 295, 85 to 285, so 10 overall at each level. Dive bomb increased cooldown from 15 to 7, now scaling down 17 to 15 seconds, which I'm fine with as well. There's one thing with Hoi, I'm not sure if it's intentional, but the difference between Smite 1 and Smite 2, there's been several times where an ability hits you, or you feel like it's going to hit you, but you use your 3 and you able to get away from it. It's like an ability, like if a Sobek plucked a Hoi and he got it, but like 1 millisecond later after Hoi, or 1 millisecond later Hoi uses his 3, the Sobek won't pluck, for example, if that makes sense. There's a lot of grace in Hoi's 3 that I've noticed, that if an ability or CC hits you and you feel like it hits you, it doesn't. And you use your 3 and you get away, if that makes sense. There's a lot of grace with this 3. It's like an ability that's supposed to hit doesn't, and you get away. It's basically what I'm trying to say. I'm not entirely sure if that's intentional or what, but I feel like they should change that. Anyways, Kali nerf general decreased per level health from 97.5 to 92.6. That's 5 health per level. The result in 98 less health at level 20, so 100 less health. Decreased basic attack speed from 1 to 0.97, which is fine. This isn't going to change too much in my opinion. Neath shift. Broken weave. Increased strength scaling from 15% to 20%. Decreased intelligence scaling from 25 to 20. So it matches. Increased attack speed scaling 2% to 3% strength per stack. Decreased intelligence bonus from 10 to 8. And then decreased intelligence bonus per level 0.5 to 0.4. And then finally, intelligence at level 20 per stack, 20 to 16 overall. And this is sort of to counter against the intelligence build that Neath goes, and it's kind of just a better build overall. There's literally no argument to be made to make a strength build unless you're doing like an ADC like aspect build. And so they're trying to fight against that. And also she's very good. She one-shots, does so much fucking damage. And then finally, Unravel. Decrease intelligence scaling from 90% to 80%, all to counter that, or to, you know, scale back the intelligence-based build and not do as much damage, which is valid. Uller Fix. Wield axe, wield bow for passive of that. Fixed an issue where he could get the previous rank strength and lifesteal while in axe stance if he ranked the ability in axe stance. Okay, so it's more like a bug. Finally, we're almost done. There's a lot here. Vulcan Shift. Master Craftsman is passive. Alternator mod. This is the one that alternates between his regular is regular turret and thumper. Decreased thumper's cooldown from 12 seconds to 6 seconds. After you cast thumper, you will need 6 seconds to recast Inferno Cannon again. Yeah, this is one of the ones that were kind of just not picked up a lot. There was no point. The other ones were better, either giving you the scaling with thermal mod, or I believe it was, I don't remember if it was, either way, the other two mods at the initial one, where it gave you the alternate, or the thumper in your item slot, not item slot, in your consumable slot, or it gives you, I think, more cooldown or something. The other one was better. It was good too. The alternate mod just wasn't all that great, so they're trying to make this a little bit better. Overall, it's definitely a lot better, but I don't know, I'll have to see. It doesn't seem like it's better than the other ones. Thermal mod, decreased bonus backfire and magma, bomb scaling from 30% to 20%. This one was really good too. So they're scaling it down by 10%. And then finally, Earthshaker. Short range Earthshakers should be less impactful. Max range Earthshakers will remain hitting as hard as they currently do. Okay. With that being said, decreased base damage from 320 to 720 to 285 to 645. Okay, so his, oh my god, that does a, oh my god, decreased base damage. You're reducing that by almost 100. Right? 80, no, 75. All right, right? 75? 7. I'm doing math right now. Hold on. 7 plus this 4 is 715. Yeah, okay. I believe that's right. Either way, that's a lot of fucking base damage at the last rank here. Decreased intelligence scaling by 10%, but increased max damage multiplier by 0.15. So they're sort of making him do less damage, but the further out it goes, we'll be doing currently as much. So actually, yeah, it's just kind of a nerf. If the Earthshaker will remain hitting as hard as they currently do, and I'm assuming that's what the multiplier entails, I'm going off of high res and hoping they did that testing, then it's overall a nerf, because if it's doing the same amount of damage, but everything else is getting nerfed, then yeah, it's just a nerf. So, okay, cool. Into the item balance. Yeah, not much here. It actually is a little bit here. Yeah, there's a little bit here. Ancient Signet, which actually was buffed last time, and I think it's a pretty solid item on certain gods. Like, if you're going like a hybrid god, I have a Scylla game coming out where I went Ancient Signet. It's pretty good. It's a lot of fucking burst. I'll say that, at least when you have this up, because there's still a cooldown on it. It's a pretty good. It's a pretty good item. I'm not gonna lie. No, now they're buffing it again. So increase intelligence 75 to 80, and then increase mana 200 to 250. Now I don't know if this is a staple item. It wasn't before. It might be now. I doubt it, but it's gonna be an item in rotation that I feel like I should mention because it's really good now. Because it does base damage, or it does damage based on your level in its passive rather than like scaling and stuff like that. So this might be pretty good on like hybrid tanks, or even just regular intelligence, full intelligence based kit as well. So let's see. All right. So enemy gods hit by your abilities take 20 plus 12 per level bonus magical damage. So there's not any scaling. So if you're level 20, you're doing a flat amount of damage no matter what character you're playing. So that's pretty good. Now again, this only occurs every, I don't remember. Smite 2 Live might not be updated, so keep that in mind. I don't remember what specifically they buffed about this item. I think it was the cooldown. It might be even quicker. I'm not sure. But Smite 2 Live is not updated for the most part from what I remember. Either way, it does flat damage, which is really good. And now they're doing it. They're buffing it more. Book of Thoth, not performing really good recently compared to other items. After they nerfed it, but increased mana conversion before evolution from 4% to 5%, and increased mana conversion after evolution 6% to 7%. So a little bit better. Divine ruin buff now only triggers on god damage. It used to trigger on minions. It was annoying. Increased intelligence scaling from 10% to 20%, and then decreased cooldown 20 seconds to 15 seconds. So it makes it a little bit cooler. I think the item is fine. It's kind of boring after they got rid of it. They should have just given this a soft anti-heal change similar to Beat Stick. I'm not entirely sure why they didn't. This would be like the intelligence-based soft anti-heal counter item, but they didn't do that. Whatever. It's a fine item, kind of boring. It's a little bit better now, but there are better items, I feel like. Gemma Focus buff, no one buys this anymore. Increased cooldown rate from 10 to 20%. 20% to 20. I'm thinking of Smite 1. So this is going to be, I think this item is a very niche item, specific builds, but with the increasing cooldown now, it might be seen in some more builds now. Still don't think it's going to be like a staple, but we'll see. Tekko Kagi buff, increased strength from 50 to 60. Man, this item was everywhere, and now they just keep buffing it. I think it's a solid item. I think it's pretty expensive from what I remember. And this item, this it's not updated. All right, so yeah, 2700. They nerfed this pretty huge from what I remember back in the day. I still think it's a solid item. Certain gods can use it really well. Like I believe a Herc could use this as well. When you use an ability, gain a stack of momentum, granting movement speed, and like Uller, guys that use a lot of abilities and stuff like that. Oh, you don't want to see that. All right. Regrowth Strider's nerf. Again, another nerf. It's really good. Like I said again, when they nerfed it initially, I was like, that's a okay nerf. It's still going to be very good. So let's see. Decreased movement speed, 30% decaying to 10% to 25 decaying to 0. That's a pretty solid nerf as well, but still very good on gods like Herc and shit like that. It's just a very good item. It just gives you so much shit. I think they're going to have to keep nerfing this until it becomes only a niche item on gods like Herc or something. Runeforge Hammer buff. I haven't seen this item in so long. Increased strength from 40 to 45. Pretty good. Increased item protection scaling from 50 to 65%. Decreased cooldown from 40 to 30 seconds. And increased cooldown reduction on applying hard crowd control to 3 seconds to 6 seconds. Wait, increased cooldown reduction? Oh, cooldown reduction on applying, okay, hard crowd control from 3 seconds to, so it takes 6 seconds off. That's a lot. I think that's really good on a lot of guys that have CC. So like Sobek, Kabrakan, certain guy, even like an Achilles wouldn't be bad. I thought this item was okay. More okay in the eyes of Joust, and Conquest not very much. I didn't really care too much about this. This would be good on Sun Wukong as well. But now it's a lot better here, so that's actually pretty cool. So that's actually a pretty big buff. I might have to try and test that one out. Oh my god. Big changes. Soul Gem shift. Soul Gem's healing was unchanged in the healing pass. As we felt it was underperforming and remaining where it could bring into a good spot. Where it was could bring it into a good spot. However, it still underperforms where it was in Smite 1. One major reason that didn't consider ally god hits. We're fixing that, giving gods who can buff or heal themselves and allies a much easier way to stack, giving them more control over the reaching effect. With this change, the healing may now be too easily available, so we're doing a rough approximation of the healing pass to its heal, but giving it more raw intelligence to help it feel like a strong pick and further bolster the passive damage boost it can trigger. Adjust this so that it now considers abilities that hit allies for stacking, stack proc. Oh my god, there's a lot here. Let's just see it. Increased intelligence by 20, that's a lot. Increased base heal by 15. Decreased heal per level by 4. Okay. So level 1, 15 to 26. Wait, increased base heal. So you're... So the base heal is 26, and now level 20 is 205 to 140. So the increased... okay, I understand. So if you're level 1, you get 15. Now it's going to be 26. So when you first have it, the base heal is going to be more, but as you scale on, it's going to do less. So the healing is going to be less overall, but you didn't really buy this. I mean, you did buy it for the healing, sure, but it was more just like gods with abilities to proc it. So 40 intelligence is pretty good. I thought this item was already pretty solid on the gods that can make it work, like Merlin or Agni, for example. So this is just going to be more of a built item on those gods, I feel like. But who knows? We've gone through some soul gem metas. That might be like a first item pickup. You never know. Daybreak Gavel. This item just never saw a light day. Daybreak Gavel and Soul Gem are already close in their raw effect, but with change to Soul Gem, they really occupy a very similar space. We're adjusting Daybreak to focus more on gaining raw strength or intelligence than bolstering just the next ability, separating it from Soul Gem. So removed. On ability used, consume all stacks. This ability is 10 plus 10 strength and intelligence scaling per stack up to 40%. Now on non-healing ability used. On non-healing ability used, consume all stacks gaining 13 strength or 16 intelligence based on the highest item stat for 8 seconds per stack, maximum of 4. Okay, so you can do hair. So, actually, let's go look at Daybreak Gavel real quick, because I think it was healing allied gods, depending on how many you healed. Here it is. You gain 55 strength or 75 intelligence, depending on which stat from item is higher. For each unique god healed by healing ability, gain a stack up to 3. Your next ability consumes all stacks to contribute 15% additional strength and intelligence scaling per stack up to 45%. So now it's just flat intelligence and strength, but on non-healing ability use. Okay, so when you use a healing ability, now instead of it's not they just added that extra part, so it's the same exact thing. It's just strength and intelligence, giving not instead of percent strength, which is pretty good. I think it's better. I mean, this item's still niche on certain gods. I feel like that would be able to use this. So I guess Daybreak Gavel could be good on like Hades, Guan Yu, and stuff like that. Staff of Mirrodin buff, decreased cooldown from 120 to 80 seconds. That's it's a hefty buff. It's actually a pretty niche item, but I feel like it would be on paper better on a lot of these gods, like Yanis, for example. But yeah, I don't know. Totem is going to be a lot better though now. Totem of Death buff. Increase intelligence from 45 to 60. I don't know if we need a buff Totem of Death, but here we are. We're buffing it. This item is a really good item. It's just certain gods don't proc it well. So like gods like Merlin, for example, Merlin procs this item perfectly. Cuckoo can proc it okay. Other gods just don't proc it. No matter how much you're gonna buff it, I don't think like Ra is gonna be good on it, or Scylla's gonna be good on it. Nubis is fucking killer on it. They're just making it better. Agni's okay with it. So like certain gods that don't use it well are not gonna. I don't know. I think it was in a fine spot, but there you go. All you people who use Totem of Death on your core gods, doing even more. Typhon's Heart buff. Typhon spawn will now only consider targets in combat to attack instead of just randomly going off and willy-nilly land. Will prioritize gods over any other target, which is nice. Fixing the AI there. Typhon spawn will now retreat to their owner if they are separated more than 13.2 meters. Interesting. So it's literally just like a pet. Increased damage scaling 20 to 30% intelligence. Increased Typhon spawn health 50 to 55 per level. Increased intelligence 40 to 50. So pretty cool. I like the item. It's just, I don't know. I think it's too specific. I have not seen this item once used in any of my games, so it's kind of funny. Anyways, Umbral Link buff, decreased cost from 27 to 25. Actually, I recently used this item. I think it's pretty good on certain gods, but only specifically in certain game modes like Joust. I don't think it's gonna be really good in like Conquest or anything like that. This is more like a Joust item or like an Assault item. I don't know. I think this item's I know they get rid of some or ban some items and stuff like that in Assault. But this is like pretty good on Hades that I've tried out. Triton's Conch buff. Increased strength from 20 to 25, decreased cost from 28 to 27, increased faith strength or from 7 to 10. Yeah, you don't really see this item that much. It's pretty expensive, so maybe we'll see this more often in like Joust. It might be pretty solid. Here are some bug fixes down here if you want to take a look at it yourself, but that's basically it. Scrolling back up, what are the most important ones that we see here? Probably Soul Gem. I like Soul Gem. Daybreak Gavel, okay. I think we'll have to see on that. Runeforged Hammer is a pretty good one. Regrowth is okay. Ancient Signet again, not the biggest buff, but when you compare it to the recent buffs it's had, it's probably going to be pretty good. All right, Vulcan, nothing crazy. Couple changes in like key areas like his ult and like thermal mod. Alternator is okay. Says, oh, right, it's a shift, but in my opinion, it's kind of a nerf. I don't know, what do you guys think? Neath has got a pretty solid nerf. Hoy got a pretty solid nerf. Agni and Shock got a okay nerf, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, small things here and there, nothing too crazy. Some cool, I like these conquest changes. It doesn't really change the map that I feel like it needs to at this point. It's starting to get boring for a lot of these people. Not to me, but to a lot of these other people, it's getting boring to them. And you know, the map could be more efficient. Certain things on the map could be changed, like the gold thing near mid, where you just like hold and select and get 30 gold. But these changes are really good, and I'm glad. A lot of these are community driven, I feel like, and they see that, and they're sort of helping everyone with those issues, which is pretty good to see. And then Jormungandr is here. Small changes, making him more fun and cool, and his aspect's coming on August 29th, so waiting for that on Friday. And then that's it. Open Beta 17, World Serpent. And then the next guy is going to be Tsukuyomi for Open Beta 18, and then after that we'll get to see the next two gods the following Friday that Tsukuyomi is released. So we have a little bit of ways to go, but here we are. This is it. Tell me what you guys think of the Open Beta 17 patch notes in the in the comment section down below. Like, comment, and subscribe if you like these videos. Discord in the description down below if you'd like to join a pretty cool community. Twitch in the description down below as well if you want to go ahead and check me out there. I'm live every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Most Thursdays now, and some Mondays, but pretty much core of it's gonna be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday if you want to stay what's up over there. I have memberships open for 99¢ and $2.99 a month if you so desire, but not necessary, but very much appreciated. But with that being said, I think that's everything that I have for you. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching.